relationships. They can be the most wonderful experience a human being can have. Or the worst. When something goes wrong in a relationship that was once beautiful, life can be transformed into a living hell. What do you do then? Tom Joseph's book, Why We Stay Stuck, has answers to many of the questions that couples and families may ask. Take a few moments to listen to Tom speak about some of the points that he discusses in his book.
I'm going to share with you in this segment about the top 10 ways to identify codependency. You've probably heard that word, codependency. Codependency is a set of maladaptive compulsive behaviors learned by family members which is experiencing great emotional pain and stress. And these particular behaviors that you have been conditioned from having great emotional pain and stress in a family can be passed down from generation to generation. No one for 3 or 4 generations could have been an alcoholic or a drug-dependent person, but those that live in that environment could have inherited a set of elaborate coping mechanisms in order to survive in that family that was experiencing great emotional pain and stress. You know, people continue to put up with very poor behaviors from other people. There are people in our society that continue to back up and to support, and they continue to accommodate to people that abuse them. People that use them, people that verbally abuse them, people that physically abuse them, people that financially abuse them, and people that continue to use the other person in order for self-gain, such as a drug-dependent person or an alcoholic. You're always to blame when these people feel like they're caught. This is the essence of codependency. It is wonderful to be dependent on a good person, but it is very destructive to be dependent on someone that you have to continue to enable or walk on eggshells. We're going to talk about the top 10 ways to identify if you are codependent. Matter of fact, if you have probably 4 of these 10, you probably should get some help for codependent behavior. These particular issues are in my book, Why We Stay Stuck. I'm sharing from the Denver area to the rest of the country on this particular most important subject. So go to my website and get my book, Why We Stay Stuck. Let's go through the top 10 ways to identify codependent behavior. Number 1, do you walk on eggshells? Many codependents, as I've said before, walk on eggshells in order to not be confronted or not to upset people around them. Number 2, are you afraid of confrontation? Are you afraid to confront? And that's what I want to point out. Most codependents are afraid to confront, or they're afraid of confrontation. And so therefore, they continue to stay in a stuck situation, or they can continue to stay in an abusive situation. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing I would like to see changed in my counseling practice or changed in people's lives, it would be this: stop abusive people. Set boundaries with abusive people in your life. And the third way to identify codependent behavior is, do you make decisions that are wrong just to please the other person in your life? Do you make poor decisions and wrong decisions just to avoid conflict? And that's another telltale sign of codependency or dependency disorder. Number 4, do you tell little white lies in order to avoid anger from the other people in your life? If you're telling little white lies, such as, yes, I'll watch your children, when in all reality you don't want to watch other people's children. When you tell people that no, it was great, or no, that didn't upset me, when it really did upset you. Those are little white lies codependent people say in order to avoid conflict from other people. Number 5, are you often angry with yourself for letting others get their way? Codependent people continue to let people step all over them. They continue to let them step into their boundaries. Codependents allow violation to themselves from the other people to the extent that they're always angry with themselves. They always get angry with themselves afterwards because they weren't able to set those boundaries. The sixth way is, do you blame yourself for everything? Codependents always blame themselves. They never blame the other person. They never blame the other people. They never blame the perpetrators. They never blame the people that violate them. But they blame themselves. Sometimes they blame themselves by cutting themselves. Sometimes they blame themselves by becoming depressed. Sometimes they blame themselves just becoming a sacrificial lamb so the other person can get off the hook. And in all reality, that is codependent behavior. Number 7, the seventh way to identify codependent behavior is, do you try to protect everyone else's feelings? Have you ever been in a room or a party or a gathering where someone says something embarrassing or someone is struggling, and maybe they're embarrassed, maybe they feel a little bit shameful, or maybe they're doing something that is embarrassing to them? And you step in and you begin to take on their feelings, and you feel bad for them, and you begin to protect them. That's codependent behavior. Sometimes you need to do that, but in excess, especially for people that continue to get themselves in a poor predicament, people that continue to get themselves in a predicament where their back is against the wall because of their own decisions, and then you take on their feelings, that is codependent behavior. Number 8, do you find yourself getting hurt often? Codependent people get hurt often. And the reason why they get hurt is because they're always allowing people to step in their space. And number 9, do you often feel used? It's the same scenario. Codependents often feel used because they allow people to take advantage of them. And number 10, the 10th way and the final way to that I see that people can identify codependency is this. Is it hard for you to say no? It's very difficult for codependent people to say no. You allow abuse in your life so much, and you're never allowed to say no according to yourself. Maybe you were raised in a home where you were not allowed to say no. You were not allowed to set boundaries, or that's enough, or I refuse, or I can't do this at this time. Codependent people are very afraid to do that. I just gave you the top 10 ways to identify codependent behavior. If you want a seminar in your area, contact me on my website that's on the screen. Go to my website, www.atthewell.net. Also, order my book, Why We Stay Stuck. All this information is in my book with examples, real live examples of codependency and codependent people.
Thank you for taking time to watch this video presentation. Tom has helped many individuals and couples through their difficult relationships, and he'd love to help you as well. If the information from this video was helpful to you, then why not pick up a copy of Tom's book, Why We Stay Stuck? To order your copy of the book, or if you'd like more information about webcam counseling, visit Tom's webpage at www.atthewell.net. That's www.atthewell.net. Or you can call Tom toll-free at 866-449-WELL. That's 866-449-9355. Check back again soon for the next segment from the book, Why We Stay Stuck.